Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast today. An emergency fund should be included in every family's financial plan. Well, today, Uprising Senior Vice President of National Affairs, Jay Seaton, and Cleveland Counseling Division Manager, Ram Mayakar, will explain why it's critical to have this emergency money set aside for, of course, emergencies. And the next session of the LEAD Diversity Program is fast approaching, and President and CEO of the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio, Peggy Zone Fisher, and graduate Anthony Burwell are here to talk about the significance of the program. And later in the broadcast, the President and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Marsha Mockabee, and the Executive Director of the Cleveland branch of the NAACP, Sheila Wright, will talk about the upcoming 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, where Dr. Martin Luther King made that historic "I Have a Dream" speech. Good morning. I'm Leon Bibb. This is Kaleidoscope, and so we begin. Beginning with one of our regulars here, Jay Seaton, sitting next to me, Vice President of National Affairs for Uprising, and Ram Mayakar, Cleveland Counseling Division Manager of Uprising. Good to have you both with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to always talk to you. Refresh our memories, Jay Seaton, on the overall mission of what Uprising tries to do to help consumers.
What we try to do, many people may know it as Consumer Credit Counseling Service locally. That's for many years. We're the oldest nonprofit that helps people both get out of debt and also provide information and education so that you can manage your money in a whole range of ideas.
And for years you've been coming here on the broadcast helping people get out of debt and stay out of debt.
And thank you for having me.
If you're out there in debt, please listen to these two gentlemen, because they're going to literally put money in your pocket and keep it in your pocket. Right, Ram Mayakar?
Yes.
Tell me about some of the programs at Uprising that assist people in managing their money.
We certainly help with credit card debt, as Jay mentioned. One of the things that will happen during that debt management program counseling session is we'll review our client's budget, looking at opportunities to limit budget expenditures. We'll also take a look at their credit card debt and look at opportunities to contact their credit card companies to see about lowering their monthly interest rates with their credit cards, so that when we send their deposit to their creditors, more of that money will go to the principal portions versus the finance charge portions, getting the clients out of debt much quicker.
What's it cost for people to have this kind of counseling session? They're already in debt.
There is no cost for the initial counseling session. There could be a fee if they do utilize that debt management program service. It does depend. The fee could be anywhere from $0 up to $35 on a monthly basis. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so our primary concern is our financials well-being. So we'll take a look at their financial situation to see what the fee will be. It depends on their income. It depends on what the amount of creditors that they have on their debt management program. It could be anywhere from $0 up to $35 on a monthly basis.
Jay Seaton, you work with the person, the consumer over here, who's in debt on this end, and then you got the credit card company. I'm holding up a credit card on this end. Do you work with the credit card people to help the people over here who are in debt?
One of the things that really makes, again, I think this is our 58th year of doing this as the oldest nonprofit, and one of the things that really is a strength of the program overall to help consumers are the relationships that our national association has developed with the creditors, so that we can reduce payments and reduce the interest rates to help people get out of debt, at the same time providing information and education so that they can move forward. The getting out of debt is the first step. I know we're going to talk about emergency funds. That's part of the overall equation. And Ram is with us now 7-8 years, and he understands that that initial session is key, but you can go any number of different directions from that session.
Tell me why we should have an emergency fund in our own households.
Absolutely. An emergency fund is so critical, because emergencies do happen. And when an emergency does happen, what you want to do is you want to be prepared for those emergencies. It's extremely important to budget yourself for those type of emergencies. Create a budget. Make sure that you have in your budget an opportunity to save money on a monthly basis. We spoke prior to this morning, and you mentioned that you save money on a monthly basis. And it's important that everybody look to do so, just in case that an emergency does happen, you have the opportunity to save that money, and you can use that money in case of that emergency if your furnace breaks down.
And there will always be an emergency in life.
Absolutely.
There is always something happening in everybody's life where you need that money. Should they use the credit card as an emergency fund?
I would certainly encourage you to save money. I mean, that could be a last resort, but if you do that, you're going to have to pay interest, and what you utilize the credit card for is going to cost you much more at that time. We're
going to continue our discussion, but I want to make sure that we put a phone number up on the screen, 800-355-2227. You can reach the Apprizon people, or you can go to apprizon.com. You see that at the bottom of the screen, Apprizon, that's APPRISEN.com. More information on everything we're talking about. What if people say, what do they tell you as reasons they cannot establish an emergency fund, and how do you counter with that?
I can't do it. I don't make enough. Emergencies have already happened. I can't get out of the kind of the hole I'm in. And what I say and what Ram says really is anything. I don't care if it's $5 or $10, something. And I know the viewers are going to say, well, the interest rates are so very low. It's the principle. It's getting in the habit. Emergency fund and savings, as we've talked about on these segments continuously, is a habit. I don't care if it, as I said earlier, $5, $10, whatever you can do, set it aside, because as your point is well taken, emergencies will happen.
As I've said 1,000 times on this broadcast, my father and I talked about emergency funds, and my first emergency fund at the age of 11 years old was 25 cents. And that was my emergency fund. It doesn't matter how small it was, but the concept of having an emergency fund for an 11-year-old or for a 111-year-old.
And your father had a phrase, too, that I think still applies.
He says, I want to be able to see my way clearly down the road.
That's such good advice.
He wouldn't make a purchase unless he saw his way clearly down the road.
And I was just thinking, as coming up to the segment, I'm kind of winding down at the end of this year, and this gentleman's going to be providing some of the advice going forward. So
you're winding down.
I am going to wind down a little bit.
Live on some of that money you've been saving all these years.
Yes, exactly. Well put.
And that's the goal.
Well put.
That's the goal. Well, Ram Mayakar, good to have you on the broadcast.
Thank you.
You're going to be with us many more times, and Jay, we're going to talk you into coming back too.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Always good to have these good people on. Jay Seaton, Vice President, National Affairs of Apprizon. Ram Mayakar, Cleveland Counseling Division Manager. Once again, that phone number is 800-355-2227. It is a free call, and the first session of counseling is certainly free, and you'll keep us with money in our pockets. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Taking a break. This is newsnet5.com. You can go there and find out what's coming on Kaleidoscope each week. Coming up next, a diversity program for local leaders after this. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope. The 2013 LEAD Diversity Program, hosted by the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio, begins in early September. Its president and CEO, Peggy Zone Fisher, is here, along with graduate Anthony Burwell, and they'll talk more about this program for local leaders. Good to have you with us, Peggy Zone Fisher and Anthony Burwell.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Refresh our memories on the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. What is it that you do there?
I know. Well, the Diversity Center has been around since 1927. It began as the National Conference of Christians and Jews, so the acronym was NCCJ, and everybody knew that, but over the years the name changed to better reflect the work that we do in our region. So it then became the Northeast Conference for Community and Justice, and in 2006 it became the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. We do the majority of our work. We're in 9 counties in Northeast Ohio. We do diversity training work with about 10,000 students a year in about anywhere about 150 middle schools and high schools. We do conferences, overnight camps, retreats. We're in the classroom. We do
talking about the importance of diversity.
Everything.
Certainly in the American footprint.
And
in the American
everything
world.
Diversity, not just race. That's a piece of it, but diversity is socioeconomic, physical challenges, sexual orientation, religion, age, gender, all the isms.
You brought with you Anthony Burwell, who's the lead diversity graduate, Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio.
Sir.
And you were in this program.
I was a graduate of the program. I'm a member of the alumni. We continue to support one another, continue to learn from one another. We continue to take the information, the tools that we learn through the LEAD Diversity Program and apply them through our professions, in our communities, through our families, friends.
How did it help you?
Well, it continues to help me because it put me in a place to consider, first of all, who am I? What do I understand? What do I believe? What are my biases? And then how do I enact them when I'm discussing and talking with other people? And then how do I make sure that I understand where they're coming from and we become accepting of one another?
And the president has talked about the importance that we need to have discussions on race and economics. Yes. We need to put all of this stuff on the table.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it and learn from each other.
Absolutely. And if you can do that from a place of respect and honesty, understanding a person's perspective, then you get more done, and you're not just standing in a corner trying to defend a position. You're actually looking at the entire community and bringing everyone in.
Peggy, I know you're here to talk about your upcoming class. Now tell us a little bit about your class, of what's going to happen in the 2013-2014 year.
Well, there's an application process, and applications are online right now. So if anybody's interested, it's a year-long program. It begins in September. The class generally is anywhere between 35 and 40 individuals from all walks of life. We make sure that the class is very diverse, and you spend a day a month with us, first class in September, and you graduate in June, and we really look at all different forms of diversity. So, for instance, one day we'll spend at the Maltz Museum talking about hate and religion and tolerance. Another day we will look at best practices, corporations' best practices.
Who can take these classes now?
Anybody can sign up. We actually have waiting lists often, so if somebody's interested, please, get your applications in right away.
And the deadline, what's the deadline for applications?
Well, the deadline, I'm not sure when this show's gonna.
Well, we're airing on August the 18th.
August the 18th. You'll still have time.
There's still time.
Yes, there still will be time. The first class is September 19th.
So
that's the first class.
So to do this now, people go to Diversity Center. NEO.org, Diversity Center NEO. We've got that on the screen. Or you can make a phone call, get more information, 752-3000. Anthony, what do you want the graduates of this program and those who participate, as you did and still do, what do you want them to take away?
I want them to take away that our differences are not bad. Our differences are wonderful. They are to be celebrated. And the differences that we have really is what draws us together. We can focus on our similarities, but when we bring our differences to the table and we're willing to discuss them, that's when change happens. That's when new ideas can get fostered, and that's when the whole diaspora of people can be helped.
And we're going to remain in this country. The folks who are in this country are going to stay in this country. Nobody's leaving.
No, no one wants to leave this country.
In large numbers, certainly. But we're going to be here, and the world, everybody I know lives on the planet Earth.
That's right.
And we all got to live together in some sort of peace and harmony.
Absolutely.
That's what you're, in our final 30 seconds, that's what you're trying to do with this Diversity Center run by the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have people from nonprofits that participate, corporations, people in the education system, HR managers. So it's not exclusive to just, it's open to everybody.
Like all of us are fingers on one hand.
Exactly.
And we all got to work together to do what we have to do.
Yeah, and I love Cleveland, and I want to be able to help create a community where people will stay, where our young people will stay.
Let's make a phone call to 216-752-3000. More information on everything we're talking about, or go to Diversity Center NEO. That means Diversity Center Northeast Ohio. DiversityCenterNEO.org. More information on everything. Peggy Zone Fisher, the president and CEO of the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio, and Anthony Burwell, lead diversity graduate with the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio, have talked about today. Good to have you on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good
Tell everybody in the family we said hey.
I will do that.
You too, Anthony.
Thank you.
Good to have you on the broadcast. My pleasure. Taking a break right now. We are coming up on the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. Dr. King's historic I Have a Dream speech was delivered there. We're going to talk about that and commemorate it, because 50 years later, there's something special taking place. You're in touch with Kaleidoscope. Glad to have you aboard, too. The 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, 50th anniversary is on August the 28th, and 2 local organizations are playing instrumental roles in this event. The president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Marsha Maccabee, is here on the right, and the executive director of the Cleveland branch of the NAACP is here. Sheila Wright sits on the left. Good to have you both with us.
Thank you.
Tell me about this March on Washington. It's been 50 years, and you are commemorating this event with something special, Marsha. Tell me about that.
We are, and we are so pleased. In 1963, the NAACP, the Urban League, the Southern Christian Leadership, and many other organizations, the A. Philip Randolph was involved in that, were a part of putting together the March on Washington and being involved in it. So we're very excited that our legacy civil rights organizations, we felt that here in Cleveland, we wanted to mirror that partnership and that cooperation in celebrating the March on Washington, and we know that everybody's not going to be able to go to D.C. on the 24th when they're celebrating in D.C. We wanted to have a local celebration here that everybody could enjoy and commemorate here in Cleveland.
Sheila Wright, Executive Director of the Cleveland NAACP, what are you going to do to observe this event?
Well, there will be a commemorative march, and then there's going to be a program and events, and we're looking into adding some additional partners for a community day of service leading up to the actual event.
That's going to be Wednesday, August the 28th.
Yes.
Now, where are you holding this at?
This will be downtown. We're going to start at the mall and walk around to the convention, the public auditorium, and go into the side.
But the big event is going to be at the public auditorium. Why do you think, Sheila, why do you think this is important to do this 50 years later?
Well, it's, again, as some of our other leaders have said, it's a commemoration. This was an important march at that time, and we have so much going on today. We just want to show that these organizations are still standing together, that we are still with the community. A lot of times people question, you know, where's the help, where's the support, and we want them to know that just like we were there 50 years ago, we're going to be here today, and this will really highlight the unity and the partnerships between the organizations.
Marsha, how did this first March on Washington in 1963 change people's outlook?
I think one of the things that it did, Leon, was it showed what Dr. Martin Luther King so much wanted to show, that there could be a peaceful demonstration in this country using the First Amendment rights of, you know, the right to speak your own mind and carry signs and protest and so forth, but that it could be done in a nonviolent way. Because there was a lot of concern back then that a lot of people did not want that march to go forward because they felt that it was going to be violent.
Held at the Lincoln Memorial, right on that big strip of land there with the water in the middle there. And Dr. King's historic I Have a Dream speech.
Absolutely.
250,000 people showed up for that in a peaceful demonstration.
In a peaceful demonstration.
That got Washington's attention.
It certainly did.
The political figures got.
Yes, it did, and it caused the Civil Rights Bill to be passed not long thereafter.
How will this re-energize people, do you think, Sheila Wright?
Well, we have so much going on in our community, and I think that when people come together to celebrate where we've been in light of where we still need to go, I think it will get people on board. I think it will mobilize people to join the organizations, to get involved, because we need people. We need feet on the ground. We need people at all different levels. So I think that this will mobilize a movement that has pretty much already been going on with recent events. But this is a commemorative piece. There will be a beautiful, I believe, presentation, but I think it will also reignite that civil rights, freedom fighter spirit in all of us.
Yeah. Once again, it's going to be Wednesday, August the 28th at Cleveland's Public Auditorium in downtown Cleveland. That's at the corner of East 6th Street and St. Clair, or East 6th Street and Lakeside. You can enter from either direction, right opposite City Hall. Cleveland Public Auditorium, Wednesday, August the 28th. And the big event inside starts at 7 o'clock. But before that, you're going to be...
Before that, we're going to gather on Mall A, which is the mall right outside of the Marriott Hotel there on St. Clair. And then we're going to have a little rally there, and then we're going to have a symbolic march across the street and around the music hall and public auditorium, and then go into the auditorium. We have many people. It's going to be an interfaith, and it's going to be many different people. The Jewish community is going to be joining us.
Open to everybody.
Everybody.
Peace-loving people.
Yes.
August the 28th. I've got a part on it. I'm going to be involved. I'm going to be greatly involved in it.
You
Inside
are.
the Cleveland Auditorium, we're going to
Yes.
set the stage for a wonderful, wonderful evening. 50 years later, remembering I have a dream,
Yes.
and the dream still lives.
And
Yes.
taking the dream forward.
The dreamer is in our hearts, Martin
Yes.
Luther King. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Good to have you on the
you.
broadcast.
Thank
Marsha
you.
Maccabee of the Urban League and Sheila Wright of the NAACP in Cleveland.
Thank you.
Taking a break. In a moment, we return with our morning exchange segment with Sharon Gibson of the Urban League after this. Time now for the morning exchange segment with Sharon Gibson of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. Good to have you with us, Sharon.
Good to be here, sir.
And you're here to talk a little bit more about that march on Washington 50 years later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're really excited about the partnership with the legacy civil rights organizations, the NAACP, Southern Christian Leadership, and the National Action Network. We also have other partners who have also come aboard to help present a phenomenal event on August 28th in downtown Cleveland. As stated before, for those who can't attend the DC events, we wanted to bring a local event here in Cleveland.
So the response has just been overwhelmingly
Yes, sir.
positive.
Yes, sir.
That
Our
ought to make
phones
you
are
feel
ringing.
very
Yes,
good.
sir. Yes, sir.
What
We're
are people
really
say-
excited.
What are people saying? They're calling, they're saying, hey, we want to be a part of this.
Yes, we're getting calls from trade unions, school organizations asking how can their organizations be a part of this historic event.
And once again, that March on Washington, commemorating the 50th anniversary of it, I've got a little placard here I'll hold up, maybe we can get a shot of that. It's going to be on Wednesday,
Wednesday,
the
August 28th. At 6 p.m. is when the activities will begin in downtown Cleveland.
There's a sense of excitement about this as well, isn't
Yes,
there?
sir.
This
Yes.
event which is taking place right there. That's a nice little shot. Thank you so much, Control Room, for taking care of us on that. And it's going to be 7 o'clock is the big event, but before that...
Yes, the actual will assemble again on Mall A beginning at 6 o'clock with the rally at 6:15, and then we'll begin the actual march at 6:30.
I would imagine that there is a lot of excitement in the overall general community about commemorating this event, Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, which was 50 years ago.
50 years ago.
This
Yes,
year.
50 years ago.
Okay. So you're greatly involved with getting
Planning,
laying
yes,
some of the
and-
groundwork there.
yes, yes.
You and the others at the Urban League.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, good to have you on the broadcast,
Pleasure to
too.
be here.
Yeah, Sharon Gibson is executive assistant for programs, executive and program assistant with the Urban League.
Yes,
Good
sir.
to have you on the broadcast.
Good to be here.
That's going to do it. We're going to say so long, everybody, and be well.
Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.